What's up, guys? It's your boy Street Cred, 4K, back like I never left. Shannon Sharpe comes out and airs out all the dirty laundry. Let me be real. Nobody comes out to say, show the whole video unless they know they're not guilty. And I think it is what I said what it was. And what I believe it is a true Tony Buzbee fashion $50 million shakedown. This is what I believe. Is Shannon Sharpe guilty? I don't believe he's guilty of what the girl Gabriela Zuniga is trying to say he is. I think that somehow, some way, Tony Buzbee and Gabriela hooked up and realized this could turn into a real big shakedown, and they wanted to do it. Look, let's jump straight to the content and let's check out what Shannon Sharpe had to say as he addresses the nation.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Buzbee, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Buzbee targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Buzbee want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about.
Shannon Sharpe saying that, telling Tony Buzbee, release the entire video. Stop fronting with the people. Stop playing with the people. Stop manipulating. Release the entire video. Don't just release the clip. Look, in social media, they do this all the time, right? Don't they clickbait you when they're doing this all the time? They'll show you a small snippet of a video. You click on it, and turns out that's not what it is. Well, just imagine being able to do that and extort $50 million out of somebody, or sue $50 million out of somebody in this day and age using a young OF model as the bait. And I believe truly that's what's happening. Now, this ain't just one black man taking up for another black man. Look, I got a daughter, okay? And my daughter is, she's a beautiful daughter. And the truth is that he's a 53-year-old man. But all in all, that's not illegal. She was of age, and she wasn't just of age. She was basically an OF model that does this sort of thing, that has a pretty freaky page. I haven't been there, but from what I hear, a pretty freaky page, and this is what she does. And so, his biggest fault is, of course, going after the bait, as I said in the last video. But as he addresses the nation and tell Tony Buzbee, look, Tony Buzbee, you know that you go after black entrepreneurs and professional people, and that's the same thing that you're doing here. Release the video so the people can know what's really going on. I don't think Tony Buzbee is ever going to release the entire video, because this is exactly what he's trying to do. I mean, he tried to do the same thing to Jay-Z, and I knew that was fraud. And, when it comes to this, I smell fraud. It just so happens that Shannon Sharpe is very well known. He's involved in certain, very important entities like Disney and all these ESPN, all these sorts of things. And, there's a moral conduct to be upheld by everyone who works for these entities. And so I think that's the only real issue. Other than that, are we going to see later in the future that Shannon Sharpe actually did something to this woman? I don't believe that. I truly don't believe that. I truly believe this is a true shakedown. Now, he has decided to step aside from ESPN. Let's check that out.
Mr. Shannon Sharpe, who announced yesterday that he would be stepping away from ESPN and ESPN's First Take, my daytime job. at least until the NFL preseason sometime later on this summer. As you may recall, a lawsuit was filed against Shannon on Sunday by a woman using the name Jane Doe, or using a Jane Doe pseudonym. The 13-page civil complaint filed in Nevada alleged that Shannon Sharpe committed assault, sexual assault, battery, and sexual battery. Shannon and his attorneys responded with evidence of the relationship being, quote unquote, consensual. And Jane Doe's attorney, Tony Busby, responded by releasing audio of an alleged conversation between his client and Shannon. For those that don't know, Tony Busby is the same attorney that filed the lawsuit against Jay-Z and Diddy, alleging they both sexually assaulted a minor, which has since been withdrawn. Jay-Z has now countersued Busby. Needless to say, the headlines this week took on a life of their own, and as a result, Shannon announced he was stepping away from ESPN. Here's a portion of Shannon's statement that he posted on social media. Quote, "I will be devoting this time to my family and responding and dealing with these false and disruptive allegations set against me. I plan to return to ESPN at the start of the NFL preseason. I sincerely appreciate the overwhelming and ongoing support I have received from my family, fans, friends, and colleagues," end quote.
So I believe that he made the decision to step aside from ESPN. I believe that some of the people at ESPN knows about Shannon Sharpe's freakiness. Knows that he likes young chicks. I mean, there's a whole lot of dudes, black, white, Latino, all colors, that like young chicks. I just believe that he was a high-profile African-American that was a target. And when you become a target on Tony Busby's radar, you're going to have to spend some money to fight that case. And that's exactly what this is. So it is tough when you listen to the conversation, and you can check that video out below in the comment section. But it is tough when you listen to that conversation between them both. But this is what the OF model was hired for. This is what Shannon Sharpe was paying her for. This is what they was doing. They basically had this BDSM relationship where it's choking, dog collaring, handcuffing, rough sex. That's what it was with them.
Well, what, Gabby?
Well, you're coming to LA tomorrow?
Yes.
Well, I don't know why you want to go out.
Don't worry about it, Gabby.
Well, okay.
Okay, what?
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
Yeah. I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you did what you did to me.
And unfortunately, that spilled out into the public. And because it spilled out into the public, in the means of a lawsuit, it's this big thing. So we have to keep in mind that she wasn't just some innocent little girl who was, pounced upon. No, she was an OF model. She probably might have escorted herself for a living. That's why she was charging Shannon Sharpe to do this. And unfortunately, back in the day when, men would pick up escorts, they didn't stop to ask their age. Doesn't mean that it's okay, but they didn't stop to ask their age. You're 21, that old man could have been 60 years old. He still got his rocks off and kept it pushing. That's what happened. Now this is happening in front of the world. It's what's going on because there's this thing called OF. There's no longer the street track no more. Well, there is, but it's not as famous, right, as the OF platform. OF platform was like the social media. It's like the digital hostro in this day and age. It's where the night walkers be at. Is on OF now, right? And they really live amongst us on a regular day-to-day basis. It could be the girl at the gym. It could be the girl next door. It could be your teacher. It could be anybody, that's getting paid to, shake that monkey, and Shannon Sharpe was willing to pay for it. He had openly in the past showed his love for OF models, And this is not something new. But I think this is absolutely a shakedown. Shannon Sharpe came out. He's a straight shooter. He lets you know what it was. He said, show the whole video. Don't show clips. You show the people what they really, really want to see and stop playing games. And I think they need to go ahead and let the world see what they want to see. But Tony Buzbee ain't going to do that because he's after the money. If I was Shannon Sharpe, to be honest with you, I would shut down. I wouldn't spend no more money trying to fight nothing, trying to back out of nothing. I would just tell everybody who's in position, who's in power, who has any control or any direct influence on his career and his journey, exactly what the truth is. He's probably doing that. I would tell them what's up and say, look, let this play out. You're going to see that he won't produce the whole video, but the whole video does exist. His foolishness of kind of falling into this trap and doing all this communication and doing all this talking, well, that's where he kind of was a little bit, that was a little goofy as far as I'm concerned. Being a high-profile African-American in 2025 in this day and age, you got to know better. You got to show better. And you really, really got to do better. I want you guys to let me know what you guys think about this and about Shannon Sharpe really coming out and saying, show the world the whole clip. Don't show half of it. Is this bad news for Shannon Sharpe? Do you think this is good news? Do me a favor, like, share, comment. This your boy Street Cred 4K. Keep tapping in, keep checking in, and I'm going to keep bringing you the truth.